You could be sabotaging your brain without even realizing it. Many foods that seem harmless and even healthy contain substances that silently damage brain cells, impair your memory, and put your health at risk. The scariest part? They're on almost everyone's plate, hidden under labels and names that don't raise suspicion. Want to find out what these hidden enemies are that you consume without a second thought? What comes next will completely change the way you view your daily diet. MSG and brain toxicity. MSG, or monosodium glutamate, might seem harmless at first glance. After all, who doesn't enjoy a little extra flavor in their soup or sauce? But what few people realize is that MSG acts as an excitotoxin in the brain. This means it overstimulates brain cells to the point where they can die. Picture your neurons working overtime, without a break, until they literally burn out. The most concerning part? MSG is often disguised on food labels with names like yeast extract or hydrolyzed protein. Remember, reading labels is an act of self-care. Scientific studies have already linked excessive MSG consumption to issues like chronic headaches and, in more severe cases, even neurological disorders. For example, researchers at New York University found that rats exposed to high levels of glutamate suffered damage in brain areas related to memory. This isn't fear-mongering, it's science. If something so small can cause significant harm in lab tests, imagine what happens to our bodies after years of unconscious consumption. This is vital information for anyone striving for health and mindful eating. A practical strategy to avoid MSG is prioritizing fresh, homemade foods. It might feel a bit inconvenient at first, but think long-term. Replacing industrialized seasonings with fresh herbs like oregano or rosemary not only eliminates the risk of MSG, but also adds a gourmet touch to your meals. A homemade soup made with real ingredients and a little extra care and seasoning can be a game changer for both your table and your brain. And if you think this is overkill, just wait until you learn about another element in your diet that could also be silently compromising your health. Fish and mercury. Eating fish is often associated with a healthy and balanced diet, and for good reason. Fish is an incredible source of omega-3 fatty acids, essential for brain function. But not everything that glitters is gold. Some fish, like tuna and swordfish, hide a silent enemy: mercury. This neurotoxin, when it accumulates in the body, can cause serious damage to brain health, compromising cognitive functions and even development in children. Recent research has shown that populations exposed to high levels of mercury through fish consumption experience deficits in motor skills and short-term memory. While fish provides valuable nutrients, it's crucial to know which species are safer to eat. Wild salmon, sardines, and trout are excellent alternatives, with significantly lower mercury levels. Want to reduce your risk of mercury exposure without giving up the benefits of fish? Adding plant-based sources of omega-3, such as flaxseed and chia seeds, to your diet can also be a great alternative. If mercury is already a cause for concern, imagine the impact of something even more common and socially accepted, yet equally dangerous. Alcohol. Alcohol is a constant presence in many people's social lives, but few realize the silent impact it can have on the brain. In small amounts, it might seem harmless, even relaxing. However, excessive consumption is a major culprit. Alcohol interferes with the communication between the gut and the brain, a vital axis for the body's balance, and can lead to conditions like leaky gut. This allows toxins and other harmful substances to enter the bloodstream, worsening inflammation and even affecting brain function. The result? Impaired memory, difficulty concentrating, and even a higher risk of neurodegenerative diseases. Scientific studies back up these concerns. Researchers from the University of Oxford analyzed alcohol consumption habits in over 25,000 people and found that regular drinkers showed greater shrinkage in brain regions responsible for memory and cognition. This damage doesn't happen overnight, but accumulates silently over time, often irreversibly. While an occasional glass of wine may be celebrated for its antioxidants, excessive consumption of any alcoholic beverage opens the door to serious problems. How can you prevent alcohol from becoming a silent saboteur? A practical approach is adopting moderation habits. Try substituting alcoholic drinks with non-alcoholic alternatives or infusing water with fresh fruits for a refreshing and health-friendly option. If alcohol raises so many red flags, just wait to learn about the effects of the next supposedly healthy ingredient. Artificial sweeteners. Artificial sweeteners are often the go-to choice for those looking to cut calories without giving up the sweet taste. However, substances like aspartame and sucralose can be more deceptive than they appear. Instead of supporting health goals, they often sabotage the body by damaging DNA and harming gut health. The result? A leaky gut that allows toxins into the bloodstream and increased sugar cravings, creating a vicious cycle of consumption. Replacing sugar with these alternatives might just be swapping one problem for another. Scientists have been studying the effects of artificial sweeteners for decades, and the findings are concerning. A study published in Nature revealed that frequent use of artificial sweeteners can disrupt the gut microbiota, reducing the diversity of beneficial bacteria. This disruption is directly linked to issues like insulin resistance and chronic inflammation. So, how can you satisfy your sweet tooth without falling into the traps of artificial sweeteners? An appealing alternative is to opt for natural options like high-quality stevia or small amounts of pure honey. Another strategy is to retrain your palate to enjoy foods without excessive sweetness, appreciating the natural flavors of fresh fruits, for example. Grains and lectins. Grains, a staple in many cultures' diets, aren't always the allies they seem to be. Wheat, rice, and even some legumes contain lectins, proteins that can damage the gut lining. This leads to leaky gut, a condition where unwanted particles leak into the bloodstream, triggering inflammation. Additionally, lectins can interfere with insulin signaling, promoting resistance to this vital hormone. It's a double hit that not only affects gut health, but also puts brain function at risk. Researchers at Harvard University studied the effects of lectins in laboratory experiments and found that they can trigger autoimmune responses in sensitive individuals. For those already dealing with inflammatory conditions or metabolic issues, the presence of these substances in food is a ticking time bomb. The most concerning part? Everyday staples like white bread or polished rice are the biggest culprits, hiding this danger in plain sight. So, how can you minimize these risks without cutting grains out entirely? The answer lies in preparation. Techniques such as fermentation, sprouting, and slow cooking drastically reduce the amount of lectins in foods. Swapping traditional bread and pasta for naturally fermented options, like slow-fermented sourdough bread, can be a simple but transformative change. Trans fats and mitochondrial damage. Trans fats are a true hidden enemy of health. These substances, found in many processed foods, disrupt the functioning of mitochondria, the tiny energy factories within our cells. This makes it harder for the body to produce enough energy for basic tasks, including brain function. Additionally, trans fats promote inflammation, one of the primary triggers for neurodegenerative diseases. Imagine your mind trying to operate during an energy blackout. That's exactly what happens with continuous consumption of these fats. Studies show that diets high in trans fats are significantly linked to an increased risk of dementia. The impact is so severe that many countries have banned or regulated the use of trans fats. However, they can still be found in margarine, filled cookies, and even microwave popcorn. Fortunately, avoiding trans fats isn't an impossible task. Swap margarine for butter or olive oil, and replace industrial snacks with homemade options like nuts or dried fruits. These simple changes can make a huge difference for brain health and cellular energy production. Fried foods. Fried foods are an irresistible classic, but unfortunately, they're a true disaster for health. Usually prepared with low-quality oils, such as hydrogenated vegetable oils, these foods release harmful substances when heated to high temperatures. In addition to being loaded with trans fats, they produce inflammatory compounds that harm the gut-brain axis, an essential connection for body and mind balance. A serving of fries may seem harmless, but their cumulative effects contribute to insulin resistance and declining brain health. Studies highlight the devastating impact of fried foods. Researchers from the University of Barcelona found that frequent consumption of these foods is linked to higher levels of inflammation in the body and an increased risk of dementia. The problem isn't just the calories. It's also substances like acrylamide, which forms during frying and is toxic to the nervous system. How can you reduce fried food consumption without giving up delicious meals? One solution is to explore alternative cooking methods like grilling, baking, or using air fryers, which provide a crispy texture with significantly less fat. Sugar and insulin resistance. Sugar is one of those temptations that seems harmless, but its impact goes far beyond a few extra calories. It's a major culprit in insulin resistance, a condition that prevents cells from efficiently using glucose. For the brain, this is disastrous, as it relies on this fuel to function. When insulin can't do its job, the brain is left without energy, paving the way for cognitive issues and even dementia. What's even more concerning, many processed foods hide absurd amounts of sugar, even those marketed as healthy, like granola bars. A study published in the New England Journal of Medicine revealed that people with high blood sugar levels, even without diabetes, showed a greater risk of brain shrinkage over time. This serves as a powerful reminder that sugar's impact extends beyond the scale. It's a direct threat to cognition and brain longevity. The problem isn't just the sugar you add to your coffee, but also hidden sugars in sauces, bread, and even boxed juices. Before wrapping up, let me ask you, have you ever thought about discovering which foods can naturally help control blood sugar? In the next video, 15 superfoods that make blood sugar plummet. You'll learn about amazing options that can transform your diet and deliver real health results. Don't miss it. That's it for today's video. Take care, and see you next time.